Hi, I'm David Hall. I'm the Senior Vice President of Fairview Range, and it's a pleasure to welcome you today to Fairview Range Focus. Today we're going to talk about volunteers and our auxiliary, and I have the pleasure of being joined by three lovely ladies, Bev Moberg, who is the volunteer coordinator, and Patty Miller, who is the Vice President of the auxiliary, and is in a very different role today because normally she's often sitting here anyway in a different capacity. So, and Rozann Prich. And Rozann, I know you've had a number of different positions, but now you're serving as a member of the auxiliary.
Exactly.
But you've been president and...
Yes, I have.
Yes, you have. Okay.
I started as, well, I didn't start, but the office was vice president, president, and then past president. So when you make a commitment, it's a 6-year commitment.
That's a
but
long
it went
time.
Fast, David. It went fast.
Good. Well, it's a pleasure to have you all here today. So it's going to be fun to talk about the auxiliary and the volunteers. You do amazing work for the hospital and our healthcare system. And we were talking before we went on camera just a little bit, and been around for longer than we've been here, no doubt, right? So
yes,
how many years did you say?
62 years it's been in place in Hibbing.
Okay, 62 years.
Right.
And you mentioned the hours.
Yeah, there's over 153,000 hours that volunteers have contributed to the hospital over those years.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, and I've worked at the hospital for a long time, and I know full well what an impact our volunteers have on our organization, and not only from the standpoint of the hours you contribute, but also the money that's raised that is utilized to purchase equipment and other programs and services and things. It really is, just makes a huge difference. Truly, I don't think we could be who we are or what we do without our volunteers, truly. So, good. Well, it'll be fun to talk about the auxiliary and volunteers. So, you were talking about volunteerism, start with. So, maybe you could discuss that and tell us what it is about volunteerism that is unique or that it really rings true for you.
Well, I find today many people haven't had the opportunity to volunteer, and I think that volunteerism is almost a foundation for personal health. I know that the volunteers and the auxiliaries of Fairview Range are considered very valuable members of the care facility there, and that many people offer their time and talents every day to enhance the patient and visitor experience there. And I especially think that the Wellness Foundation is important to people who maybe find themselves newly retired, perhaps they're experiencing an empty nest, or they just have a loss of companionship through a death or divorce, or maybe they're just a new resident in Hibbing. And I think that volunteering in our program can offer wellness in 7 different areas. One would be social. You know, it's an opportunity to meet new people, to have a sense of belonging. A physical wellness might be that it gives you a reason to get up in the morning, get going, and keep going. Intellectually, we offer adequate and appropriate training for our service areas. Emotional wellness might become because you are treated as a respected member of the healthcare team at Fairview. I think that we address the spiritual wellness of an individual by giving a sense of meaning and purpose in life. We often offer occupational wellness through, you might offer your talents, your abilities, your interests, your personality to our team. And environmentally, we offer a comfortable and safe place to be a part of a team where you are respected and have a chance to grow.
It sounds like what you're saying is basically, as a volunteer, you get a lot more out of it than what you put into it?
I hear that comment many times from the volunteers. I get so much more than I actually give. Yeah. And there's so many different ways to utilize your gifts and talents as part of our team at Fairview Range.
I think one of the things I've always admired about our volunteer program is that it seems like no matter what someone's talents are, there's a place for them.
That's right.
You know, being able to match them up, I think, has always been a special thing that I've really seen you really good at doing. Do you find that to be true? I mean, that people have different skills?
And I think people are very busy today, and they want them involved with their families and travel, and yet our program works around their personal schedule, so they have a sense of belonging to the community group, although they're maybe gone a good part of the year. It's a place to come back to and feel welcome.
So does that work? Where, I mean, as a volunteer, that you can kind of come and go? I mean, people take vacations and things. Is that a problem, or do you accommodate that? Or?
I do accommodate it, and I have had people tell me a day before they're leaving 3 months that they will be gone. And I graciously say, well, I hope you have a good time. But, you know, we do have flexibility within the program, and we try to adapt to the needs of the volunteers.
Yeah, good. I know you do that a lot. So what would you say overall is the purpose of the volunteer program?
Well, I think the purpose of the program itself is to probably coordinate the efforts of the volunteers and the auxiliary to serve the medical center. And we do this by providing services and support for the departments and the programs within the hospital. I give an example of that. We have volunteers at the guest services desk within the patient and family waiting area, and they are welcoming, they're friendly, they are helpful to the patients and the visitors, and yet they provide a service for diagnostic imaging, same-day surgery, and disease management. And so volunteers provide, I think, that flower in the bouquet of life at the medical center. They have nothing to, no one has anything to fear from them. Usually you find a smiley face and a helpful attitude from the volunteers.
Okay, you got to say that again. Flower in the bouquet
of life for the volunteers at Fairview Range.
It's beautiful. I like that. That's good. Yeah, and those smiles, I think, cannot be underestimated. I think the value that they have and the impact on people's lives. So it really does make a difference when it's a little scary place to a lot of people, and they're met with a smile by people that makes a difference. You're right. Great smiles.
Another thing we do, David, is do some fundraising activities.
Okay.
And the fundraising is to provide services and medical equipment for the medical center, maybe things that the hospital's not able to purchase at this time. But the auxiliary has chosen to buy medical equipment that directly affects patient care. And last year we had, I think, 190 volunteers that contributed over 15,000 hours of service and over $56,000 to purchase medical equipment.
Wow.
The auxiliary also has a scholarship that they offer $1,500 to a Hibbing Community College student who has educational goals in a medical profession. Okay. And so they give one of those every year too.
And I know we've seen many students over the years who have benefited by those scholarships who have come back and served our community as physicians and pharmacists and nurses. So that has a great impact too. Maybe you could speak a little to what other areas of service are there that volunteers can serve at the hospital?
Well, we have what we consider the medical center volunteer. Those are the volunteers you'll find at the information desk, in guest services, at patient family waiting, and in the gift nook. And part of this is so that a volunteer can find an ideal volunteer experience, especially to go with their own personal schedules. Another service that we have is called the Auxiliary Special Projects Volunteer. And these are volunteers who kind of plan and direct some of the social activities and the fundraising activities of the auxiliary. And it's a place where people can give their time and talent and their interests, to promote things in a positive way and take part in maybe occasional service. Those are the two specific areas. Okay. But I'm always going to request to develop us further. So we probably will be expanding into the clinic, maybe into oncology area one day. So we plan to grow.
Yeah, I know that's certainly the case where there's, I think the volunteers do such a great job, and there's a good experience, and others that in the organization that say, well, gee, we could really benefit having a volunteer here at greet or to help patients and families. So I know there's more need than is being met, definitely. Well, maybe you could speak to a little bit about who do you look for as a volunteer? Is there a certain type of person or individual, and how do you become a volunteer?
Well, in order to be a volunteer, you have to be 18 years of age or older. Okay. And really, we look for people from all walks of life. Everybody has something to bring to the table to be part of the team. By filling out an application packet and attending one of our new volunteer orientation, through this screening process, we kind of look at what the talents and abilities and the interests of the participant is, and then we allow them to select the service areas that they'd like to be in. Okay. And so there's kind of a myriad of experience. Sometimes people coming out of a teaching job may want to work in the gift nook as a change of pace. Or maybe somebody who's been in retail really would like to, help the patients at patient family waiting area. So it gives an opportunity to kind of expand your your base of life experiences.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You mentioned the gift shop. Maybe you could speak to that. That's part of the auxiliary, or how does that work? Is staffed by?
Actually, the Gift Nook is the major fundraiser for the auxiliary.
Okay.
There is a coordinator. Trish Russ is the person who coordinates the efforts of the Gift Nook. She's a major buyer and merchandiser. And then we have volunteers who work as teams. They can volunteer their services for maybe a 4 or 5 hour shift during the week. Some work maybe once a week, some every other week. There's often sales that we get a team of people to come in and serve as promoting the sales that are put forth by the Gift Nook.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just going into the big bazaar time and the holiday time, and so we'll have teams of cleaning out the Gift Nook and putting all the Christmas merchandise in and getting things set up and ready to go for that.
Okay. Yeah, I know Trish is usually buying for Christmas, like in July or June or something like that. So.
Actually, she starts right after Christmas.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I say, isn't that hard to do?
Yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So well in advance.
It kind of comes in starting in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very
Yeah.
good. You mentioned, Bev, a little bit about the fact that volunteers get a lot out of volunteering themselves personally. I'm just guessing that maybe over the years you've heard that kind of story before. I mean, can you think of is there examples you could give, I mean, as far as individuals who have really talked about what they've gotten out of it?
Well, I think the greatest thing, and I always tell the volunteer members, is they're my best promoters of the program because they really are an inclusive, welcoming group of people. And I hear that often, that people feel good about being a part of that. They've been able to develop new relationships. They've been able to feel like they're serving the community and contributing to the welfare of other people. It's a time to have a bit of fun. You know, this last week we had a auxiliary meeting and we did a little laughter yoga and we had a good time together. It also can be a time to kind of reinvent ourselves. You know, sometimes we get to a period in life where we're retiring, and sometimes we don't realize what leaving that work community is going to mean with us. And this is kind of a welcoming, friendly group to become a part of. A group of real caring people.
Yeah.
And I do hear that a lot.
Yeah. I certainly agree. Rozann, I'm curious. You hear that?
Yes.
It's a warm, welcoming group. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Volunteers are ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And we feel good about what we do. There's not a better feeling, David, to do something for somebody else.
Now, you've been there how many years as a volunteer?
15.
15 years.
15 years.
Okay.
Right.
So you've obviously been getting something out of it. I mean, what do you feel like you get something really personally out of it?
Yes. When I first started 15 years ago, I worked several services. I worked menus, and I worked what we call them same-day surgery, which is now patient and family waiting. And just once again, to be able to assist people with their menu if they needed help. And I particularly liked when I would go into a patient's room and they had a name that I might recognize that might be of Yugoslav descent. I would go in and they weren't feeling all that great. And so I would test them to see if they might be Croatian like I am, or Serbian or Slovenian, and then I would talk to them and do their menu in Croatian.
Oh.
I mean, I had a new best friend by the time I left the room.
I bet.
So it was not only work, but it was fun. And since, for a couple of years, I've been working off campus, and I've been working special projects. I'm on the nominating committee. I'm a self-appointed parliamentarian, and I'm also the legislative chair. So in my heart, I still continue to make a contribution, and I feel good about that.
And that you should. And
Thank you.
You definitely do make a contribution. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What a great experience I bet for a patient to hear someone speak to them in their native tongue.
Oh, yeah. They immediately said to me...
That's a great story.
Well, and you know, I really, I pride myself with my friends on being bilingual, but I really can't talk Croatian. I can just say a few words, you know, but I understand everything.
Oh.
So as soon as I would talk Croatian with them, they would say to me, "Oh, you're one of ours," and just completely relax.
Oh, neat.
I mean, it was just great.
That's a great story.
And it might have been the only visitor they've had all week or for the day
Yeah.
or 2 days or so, for,
Yeah.
So it's a win-win, David.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. Patty, you're shaking your head. I can tell you're agreeing with what Rozann is saying, and you get a lot of it too, no doubt.
Yes, I retired as a high school counselor, and so my volunteering, I have been a hospice volunteer, and that is really, you not only get to know the patient, but you carry through with their family.
Right.
And I have met so many wonderful families. In fact, a new one yesterday I started. And so there's just so many opportunities, and like you said, you really do get more than you give.
Yeah.
I really feel that way.
Yeah.
And as far as nominating committee, this woman is phenomenal. She can twist an arm like that.
Let's go on record. I have never broken anyone's arm.
Twisting's okay, just not breaking. All right, good. Patty, maybe you could speak to, I know the auxiliary has a lot of different events. Could you speak to a little bit about those, what different events are available or that you host?
Well, I've only been an officer for a few months, and thanks to Rozann, but she said she would help so much, and she has. But we have 4 meetings a year, and like Bev said, they are fun. They're really, truly fun. We had the Hibbing High School Marching Band at one of our meetings, and last time Bev did a great job with teaching us how to laugh and yoga at the same time. And we also have healthcare state meetings, and I've never had the opportunity to go, but I hope to. And legislative meetings, like Rozann has been part of. And we also have many fundraising activities. We have jewelry sale, we just had that, that's a huge success. Linen sale, book sales. And now we have coming up our major fundraiser, our Festival of Holiday Bazaar.
Oh, well, maybe you could tell us about that. Sounds
Okay.
fun.
And I have one of the, I don't know if Larry can zoom in on this. Maybe you could hold it and you can zoom while I talk about it.
Sure.
This is our annual bazaar, and it is phenomenal. It's fantastic. And so everybody, I want you to get out your calendars right now, and it's Tuesday, October 14th. And I don't know how many years we've been doing this as our major fundraiser, but it's a great time to come up to the hospital. And on the main level, we have the boutique, and we have the bake sale, and we have 20% off of everything in the gift nook except cards and candy. And if you have lunch in the Hull Russ room for only $8, you get an extra coupon to get 5% more off at the gift nook. And that's from 10 to 2 on October 14th. And the luncheon starts at 11. The gift nook is open later that day. It's usually open till 5, and that day it's open until 5:30.
Okay.
And it starts at 7 a.m. for great Christmas holiday sales. And we also have a great raffle, and we're really appreciative to people that have donated to our raffle. Tickets are on sale from any of us, and at the
Second floor information desk.
yes, for $5. And Marva Harms, a local artist, has donated a beautiful painting.
All right.
And we have $500 cash. We have a $100 MasterCard. We have Twins tickets, a Low gift card, a Fortune Bay overnight stay with gambling bucks, and we have a wedding Afghan by one of our members. And so this is a great way to come together and support the hospital and to have a fun day.
Sounds like a lot of great fun, as well as not to mention some of the prizes somebody could win.
Right.
Everyone likes to win prizes or
Right.
have a chance to win it. So that sounds like a lot of fun. And
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Patty, may I add our silent auction?
Yes, and she's the chair of the silent auction.
Okay.
So the area merchants have been so generous in supporting our bazaar, so I'd just like to thank them.
Yeah, definitely.
They've been great.
And the silent auction is wonderful. The raffle, you don't have to be present to win, but the silent auction, you kind of want to be there so
Sure.
you can keep upping your...
That's right. It's upping your bid. Yeah,
Upping your
yeah,
bid.
yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
Okay, and that's again Tuesday, October 14th.
Yes,
All right.
October
And
14th.
at the hospital. Okay.
From 10 to 2. And, you know, it's really great. People come come out with their families, they invite their friends, bridge clubs come together, and the luncheon is great. It's kind of a traditional luncheon, a chicken salad sandwich and good baked goods. And it's not sandwich, it's salad.
Salad.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds great.
It's a wonderful community event.
Okay. Very good. Well, I think it's important too. Now we talk about the auxiliary and volunteering and all the different things, but someone's listening to this and they're thinking, I might be interested. What happens? How do they go about getting connected?
Well, Bev is our person.
Okay.
But any of us, I used twist arms, but that's probably not it. But I think so many of us have had friends join because I think a volunteer is probably a really good advertisement for what a great experience it is to give back to the hospital and to the community. But Bev, people can come and see you in person, and your phone number is?
They can call my office at 362-6112 if they want more information. Oftentimes people, you can pick up applications right at the hospital. When I receive a application, then I'll call to set up a time for a new volunteer orientation.
Okay.
You know, so anytime somebody's interested, they just can give a call and talk more about the program or tour the hospital, see if there's an area they'd be interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone does volunteer and get involved, there's an orientation, so they don't get just thrown into the midst of something. They get trained and get oriented.
Yeah, we have an orientation. We do background checks to make sure that, you know, there's a safe environment. We do a health screening to make sure that people's health is up to date, their vaccination, etc. Have to go through a manto testing experience. And then from then we do offer, once they decide on a service area they're interested in, then we do on-the-job training, so to speak.
Okay.
So they, and they're never having to serve until they feel that they're ready.
Right.
So it's an opportunity of being trained by another volunteer in that service area. There's some required learning, so you can learn more about the environment and the culture of Fairview Range. And by that time, you can kind of decide, you know, do I feel like I'm a good fit for the team?
Okay.
And I usually say, it's the best team you can belong to in town.
To that point, I'd like to say, too, that if after a while you realize that that service is not a match with your skills, you can change. You can go into another service.
Yeah.
It's perfectly all right.
Yeah.
I mean, we want everybody to be comfortable in what they're doing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
sometimes, too, I bring on people as substitutes. Let's say a person decides that, you know, I don't know if I want to be on schedule, make that big a commitment right now, which it really isn't a big commitment because you really can tell me anytime you want to be gone or do what your life dictates you need to do.
Right.
Although some people come on as volunteers, and I'll often cross-train them. Maybe they'll work at the second and floor information desk and guest services downstairs. And that way people will like to be flexible, like to be adaptable, like to kind of move and shift and do different things, have an opportunity to do that also.
Okay, good. Patty, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say one other thing. You get to have your picture taken for your ID, and you get a wonderful vest to wear.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Our
Official
uniform
members.
is a vest and a badge, a name badge. And with that, when you're working, you have an opportunity of getting a $4 expense at the cafeteria, so you can have lunch with us. Oftentimes there's a group of volunteers that come in and have lunch together while they're working, or come in for a meeting, we have coffee together.
Okay.
So it's also a social opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And just to put a plug in for men, this is for men and women.
Men and
Yes.
women.
Okay.
We have some great men who have volunteered, especially at
Yeah.
our patient family waiting
Yeah,
area.
definitely. Yep. Good.
And in hospice, too.
In hospice.
Yeah, right. Right, good point. Yeah.
I do want to mention also that everyone likes to feel appreciated, and we volunteers do feel appreciated, not only by Bev, but by you, David, and all the way up to our CEO and our president.
Yeah,
So it's a good feeling.
good. Well, thanks for sharing that. We're about out of time, so I'm going to wrap up, but
Okay.
you are so right. I mean, I think certainly representing the hospital, we do appreciate our volunteers who do such amazing work and really make a difference in the lives of the patients that we treat and care for. And so it's very gratifying to me to see that, and somewhat humbling too when I see all of the work and the volunteers do and what a difference you make. So thank you for all you do. You're an awesome group of people, you really are. And thanks for joining me today. It was fun to talk about the auxiliary. I truly appreciate our auxiliary and what you do, and so it's always fun to talk about it too. So I enjoyed that. So thanks to Bev and Patty and Rozann. It was fun to talk with you today about that. So that's our show for today. Thanks for joining us. And again, if you'd like to know more about the auxiliary or opportunities there might be to volunteer, you can contact Bev Moberg. And hopefully that number will be displayed on the screen. I think we're going to do that. So again, hope you'll consider that. Thanks for joining us today, and watch next month for another Fairview Range Focus. And if you'd like to learn more about Fairview Range and the services we offer, you can visit our website at www.range.fairview.org. Thanks for joining us.